Hello everyone. Well, it's almost 2024, and if next year is going to be anything like this year, it's going to be another banner one for horror fiction. This has been a fantastic year, and what better way to end it than with something weird? And I've got not one, not two, but three very weird, yet very frightening, and very good horror books for you to check out. I love when authors put their imaginations to good use and come up with something you haven't read before. It's always a thrill when you read something that's a little bit different, and all of these three fit the bill, and they're all three that you'll want to read. And as always, I want to remind you that I have horror books for sale, and if you want to read any of the books you see on your screen there is a link down below where you can do that, and I'll also leave that link in the pinned comments. And also check out my Read More Horror t-shirt. There's a link down below for that. Many colors and sizes available if you want to purchase it. All right, let's get started. So the first book I want to talk about today is called Earworm. This is courtesy of NetGalley, and I want to thank them for approving my request to read it. When I read the description, I knew it was a book right up my alley, and boy, it did not disappoint. This is basically about a man, and he is in a point in his life where he's just very depressed. He's married to a woman who's going to inherit a lot of money when her parents pass away. So she's kind of rich, and they lived in a big house, but now he's separated from his wife and his daughter. He's been relegated to the guest house where he's also their pool boy. He cleans out their pool. He's a little bit overweight. He has a job in pest control, which he doesn't really like. He quit drinking a while ago, but that seemed to actually exacerbate the breakup of his marriage, and you'll read about that. And on top of that, he just found out that he's got a rare brain disease, and he's going to die within the next few days or a few weeks. And before he dies, he's already been warned that he is going to suffer great pain and agony, no matter how much pain medications he's on because of this disease. So things are not looking up for him, let's put it that way, until he meets Bogart. Now, you'll have to read about how he meets Bogart, but Bogart is an alien parasite that crawls into his ear, attaches itself to his brain, and can communicate with him and access his feelings and thoughts and everything through that method. Now, because he's on several medications and some of the side effects are hallucinations, he's not sure if Bogart is real or if he's just slowly creeping into dementia before his death. But Bogart tells him that there's an alien invasion soon to be coming, and these evil aliens are going to wipe out the human race, and he has to try to stop it. So on top of everything else, now he's got the saving of the world on his shoulders. And during the course of this book, we're going to find out others like him who have these alien parasites in their brains. Some are good, some are not so good. Some want to stop the invasion, some want to speed it up, accelerate things. And the thing about this book is that it's very funny at times. I mean, like, you'll laugh out loud. It's written in the first person perspective from our character, and he's very self-depreciating. He doesn't really have a lot of confidence or anything, and some of the things he thinks is very funny. But it's also, believe it or not, quite touching, because when we realize at first him and Bogart have a shaky relationship, but eventually we're going to find out that Bogart might be the only friend he has left in the world, which is sad in its own right, because Bogart is an alien parasite that lives in his brain and the only thing keeping him alive at this point. But they form this kind of really tight bond and friendship, and it does get quite touching on top of the horror and on top of the humor. It's a very well told story, and it's very weird, something I've never read anything like that before, and I always appreciate that. And I highly recommend it. It's just fantastic, and there's a link down below where you can purchase your copy through Amazon. And next we have Things Not Made. This one is going into the cosmic horror weirdness landscape. And the setup is fantastic, actually. This is not horror comedy. This is a very frightening book. But the setup is there's two women out at a bar. They're separated when we first meet them. And one of the women tastes something in her drink that's not right, and she thinks her drink has been drugged, and it has. So when she goes to the bathroom and tries to expel whatever it is she drank, when she comes out, she is somewhere else. I'm just going to put it that way. No idea where she is. There's nobody around. Not a single person in sight. No cars. Nothing for as far as she can see on either direction outside of that bar, except for a man in a green hoodie. This man in the green hoodie seems to be stalking her and chasing her and wants to do very, very bad things to her. But she doesn't exactly know where she is. Now back in the, I guess you can call it the real world, where this started in the bar, her friend sees this man in a green hoodie in her world. And she's following him. They're going to have a confrontation, and then her friend's going to wind up in the place where she is. And this is a nightmarish place. There's no other living person there except for that man in the green hoodie. But there are really horrifying creatures everywhere that are just going to curdle your blood. And they're all over. Like they cannot escape it. And there's a pit in this place. And the area seems to be closing in on them, slowly but surely. Almost like walls closing in to crush somebody to death. And they're all leading, and it's leading them to this pit where there are other dead people in. Let's put it that way. Yeah, it gets weird. I told you, man, this is a weird booklet. But it's also about the power of words, the power of stories, the power of books. And you might be thinking, well, how does that go from this horrible other world with these creatures to being about books? And you'll have to read about it to find out. It was absolutely perfect. I loved this book. I loved the way the author incorporated that concept of stories and books having power, even over demonic eldritch horrors that they're experiencing. And even though it sounds kind of really strange and out there, it makes sense when you read the book. In the context of these characters and what we're going to find out about their past, it absolutely makes sense. And you'll find out when you read it, because this is one you definitely want to read. It's a novella, so it's not that long. It's not going to take you a long time to read, but it's very, very well written. And it will send shivers up your spine, and you'll be just entranced thinking, what is going on here? It's just very good. I absolutely loved it. I highly recommend it. And again, there's a link down below where you can purchase your copy through Amazon. And finally, we have one with probably the longest title I've ever had on this channel as far as book reviews. And I think I'm going to get this right. I had tried to remember it before I made this video. Mutant Superhero zombie killing cheerleaders with Uzis. Well, there's the cover if I missed any of the words. But as you can imagine, the title kind of says what's in this book. This is a throwback book. This isn't dealing with any social issues. This is not political. This is not to be taken seriously. This is like a schlocky B-movie kind of deal in book form, and I absolutely loved it. It takes place in the 1970s where disco is really big, yeah, you have zombies, a lot of gory kills, a lot of scenes of carnage. You have cheerleaders that turn into these mutant superheroes who are trying to stop the zombie invasion. You have characters who are making the absolute worst choices. They're going to wind up getting themselves killed. You have all these very diverse and interesting characters, including a barn where there's a big party for all the high school kids because the jocks just won their national championship in basketball, I believe. And of course, that's going to be feeding central for these zombies because it's in a barn in the middle of the woods, you know. This book takes place in 1977. And in 1977, I would have been 14 years old. And if this would have been a movie, I would have watched it so many times, I'd probably be able to repeat it. And it would have been one of my favorite things ever. And now, even though I'm 60 years old, I still think if this was a movie, it would probably be one of my favorite things ever. It's just good old-fashioned, wildly entertaining fun. Not, like I said, not to be taken seriously. As a matter of fact, you don't even really have to suspend your disbelief. The author's just saying, here, I'm going to write this fun story. We're going to go on this wild ride together. I'm going to put things in there you've never read about before or never thought about. And I want you to come along with me. And I was there all the way. This was a fantastic book. I absolutely loved it. And it's just wonderfully weird and gruesomely gory, and I can't do anything except to recommend it to you. That's all I can say. And of course, there is a link down below where you can purchase your copy, and yes, you absolutely should. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.